Hey, I'm gonna try my best to show you how I made this Rasengan particle system. It's a little complicated. It's actually 4 different particle systems and several copies. So, this is not my forte. Kind of a Hitfilm bro, not a Hitfilm pro, so to speak. But we'll see how it goes. I got my notes here, and I'll try to get through this as quickly as I can. So let's get started. Oh, and by the way, this should work with any version of Hitfilm from Hitfilm 2 Ultimate, and then pretty much any version of Pro after that. And it should also work with Hitfilm Express as long as you have the particle simulator add-on, whatever it's called. Okay. So create a new composite shot. I'm gonna go for 60 frames per second just because it looks a little bit smoother, and I'm gonna name this, just for organizational purposes, Rasengan A. Okay, and now I'm gonna get a particle system going. I'm going to name this one Rasengan Start. Okay. Now to dial in some settings. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the particle system that it comes with, and I'm going to make a mobile emitter. Okay. Oh, gotta be careful here. So when you make a mobile emitter, it has its own particle system, so we want to make sure we're working on the emitter system first. And we're going to go to General. We're going to animate the particles per second. Well, actually, no, we're not. Just change this to 4. We're going to animate the active instead. We're going to leave it active for 2 seconds, so I'm just going to scroll forward to 2. And I'm going to deactivate it. And then we're going to go for the lifetime. We're going to change this just all the way up. Going to make the speed 0. And I had used a I just searched for a particle to use, but I'm just going to use Spark Star, which is fine. Spark Star. I'm gonna go for like a light blue here, and I'm also gonna maybe give it some spin. I might change the scale in a minute. Okay, so that's for the emitter system. Now for the particle system within the emitter, very important, we want to check this off. We do not want it to be affected by forces. And we want 32 particles per second. Yeah, it's a little much, sounds like, right? I'm going to change the life to 0.1. Speed is going to be 0. Scale is going to be about 30%. It's fine. Okay. Now we're going to go to the lifetime controls. Again, this is for the particle system for the emitters. I'm going to change the alpha to a gradient so it fades out. We're going to do a gradient for the color, so the color changes during its lifetime. I'm going to go from a darker blue to a lighter blue. And the scale. It should be good. So it's going to get smaller throughout its lifetime. Okay. Then go back here. We're going to add forces to the particle system. First force is going to be turbulence. I'm going to raise that to 100%. And then we're going to add another force. Going to make that attraction. And that's also going to be 100%. And we are going to copy that one 3 times. So basically it's 100% turbulence, 400% attraction. What we're also going to do is going to change, that makes a huge difference, the blend mode to add. I'm going to do that for the particle emitter system and for the system within the particle emitter. Basically, all the particle systems in this project are going to be add for the blend mode. And let's see, how's that looking? That's fine. Another thing I did was I put a outer glow effect. I'm going to change that to dark blue or 100% blue. And that is the first part. It's going zapping around pretty fast. can see it a little better if I do a preview here. Alright, so that's the first part. Now we're going to create a point, and we're going to name this point Rasengan arm rotation. Change it to 3D plane. Okay, and we want to animate the Z rotation. We want it to be 1 rotation per second, so I'm just gonna, this is a 15-second thingamajig here, so I'm gonna make this 15, 1 to 15. That works. And we're just going to leave that there for now. Now we want to make another particle system. I'm going to name this one Rasengan arm, or at least we're going to try to. I'm going to turn on motion blur for this one. Okay. So for the shape, we're going to attach it to the rotation. Make this, the trajectory is going to be a cone, and we're going to bring the radius down to 0. In general, we're going to do some animating here. We are going to animate the particles per second. And something else. And the lifetime. So let's do that together. It's the easiest way to do it. So we're starting at 112 particles per second. Or whatever, it's close enough. It's not a big deal to be exact. For that anyway. What's the lifetime? Okay, lifetime's gonna start at 0.1. Now we're gonna move forward 2 seconds. I think. Hold on. No, actually, move forward to the 10-second mark. And we're going to raise the life to 0.4. And the particles to 323. And then, let's see. Speed's going to be 2700. Go to appearance. We're going to go for built-in fire ferocity 2. And let's just crank up texture angle, texture per second a bit. And then now we go select the particle system, go to lifetime. You're gonna change the alpha and the scale. Alpha is gonna be a gradient, and it's gonna fade out as all good particles should. Scale is going to be a little different. Scale is going to start at 20%, and then at about 2/3 of the way make it 100%. Just so it starts smaller, it gets bigger. Go back, change the blend mode to add, which I always forget to do, and we're gonna use this color, I guess. Okay, I think that's, oh wait, nope. Also gonna add a force, just to make it a little more chaotic. And that's gonna be turbulence. Starts at 25%, and that's what I left it at. 25% I think is good. Okay. Now I'm gonna copy this. Go to shape, orientation, add 90 degrees, and go to the seed and just change it. Don't absolutely have to change it, but it'll look a little better if you do. Copy it again. And do the same thing. Change the seed. Add 90 degrees to the orientation here on the z-axis. And one more time. Change it. Okay. And I kind of like to have these coming in a little bit after the first part. Let's also move this point to match. That's looking about right. Whew, okay. So that's two of them. I'm glad I wrote this down. Okay. Now, you don't absolutely have to create a separate composite shot, but I'm going to do so for scaling purposes later on. If you were trying to, like, say, put this in somebody's hand in an actual shot, it would probably be better to leave all of these in the same composite shot. But for now, I am going to create a second one. And I'm going to call it Rasengan B. Frames per second. Okay. And all right. Let's create a point, and we're going to call this point Rasengan Swarm Rotation 1. And we want this to rotate, make it 3D. Want to rotate this on the y-axis, I believe. Yes. And you want this to be 2 rotations per second, so 15 seconds. I'm going to turn this to 30. So it starts at 0, goes to 30. I'm going to copy this. Rename it Rotator 2. And we're going to change this to -30. Okay. Now create another particle system. And we're going to call this one Rasengan Swarm. Terrible. Okay. Alright, the shape is going to be a sphere. We're going to attach it to whichever point 2, I guess, is fine. Change the orientation on the z-axis to 135. Change the radius to 443 and click on boundary. You know, all this stuff is really up to you, how big you want it to be, really. Alright, let's go to general. And change this to 5,000. 5,000 particles per second. We're going to animate the active. So I'm going to go 4 frames. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to check off active. Appearance. I don't think I changed any of the appearance. Oh, actually, we want the alpha boost to be raised to 70%. Ish. Also turn on motion blur. Speed's going to be 0. Life, just raise the life all the way. Scale. 25%. Let's see. It's not spinning. Did I? It's attached. This thing is spinning. It might be a bug. No, it's not spinning. Well, that works. So forget about this part, attaching it to the layer, and just do it this way. Just parent it. And that seemed to do the trick. And then duplicate this. We're going to change the seed. And we're going to parent it to the other one. Oh, actually, we also want to change the orientation radius on the z-axis. Change that to 45. Let's see. That's about right. I feel like one of those should be angled differently though. Wait a second. Did I forget something? I don't think so. Maybe... Yeah, I don't... Lines of motion, maybe? Yeah, I don't know. I feel like one of these should be spinning the other direction. That is weird. Well, I'm sorry about that. This is amateur hour after all. Still, that looks pretty close to what we want. And then the last particle system, I'm going to call that... let's call that Rasengan core. This is the simplest one, and also the one that could probably use the most improvement. Okay. We are going to animate the particles per second. And we're going to animate the lifetime. Lifetime is going to start at 0.2. Particles system per, particles per second is going to start at 31. Oh crap. Uncheck. That's fine. Gonna move this back to the front, and I'm going to check these again. Sort of messed up a little bit there, but it's fine. Okay, so now where the first frame is what it's supposed to be. We're going to move forward 3 seconds. And I'm going to select life. I'm going to click this button. And what that is doing is creating a new keyframe. There's an easier way to do this, but I'm doing it this way. An easier way would have been to simply start from 3 seconds and enter the first value, but I'm not smart enough to do that. So basically we're going to be at 31 particles per second for the first 3 seconds. And now we're going to count 5 more seconds, so we're going to go to the 8-second mark. Yeah. I'm going to change particles per second to 504. And we're going to change the life to 1.2. And appearance, we're going to go for Aurora Borealis. Align to motion. You could change some of this if you want. One mode add. I'll pick like a very light blue. Let's see here. And then we're going to go to lifetime. Alpha. Gradient. Set it up so it fades out as it reaches the end of its life. And scale so it gets smaller. Okay. I think that's it for those. That looks about right. And then the next part is... Oh, you know what? We forgot something. Oh, you know what? I'll just do that after this. Alright, we're going to create a plane. Let's call it Rasengan background. And we're going to put a radial gradient. I'm just gonna eyeball this part, didn't write anything down. Go to controls, bring up the opacity here. We want the inner part to be a lighter blue and the outer part to be a darker blue. And let's see. Alright, that's fine. Let's stick this down here. You know what? I don't know if I like that. Let me take a little look here. Let's make this bigger. Let's change this a little bit. Okay. Now I'm going to create a mask. Just going to double click on that. Can I make this a circle? Oh, that didn't work. Ah, whatever. Small on this. Okay, it's good enough. And go to the shape. And feather out or in. Let's feather out. You know what? Let's feather in. Both. Both. Okay. And now we want to go to, I think it's under grunge. If you're looking for it, we want to add a shake effect. We want to add a shake effect to both the Rasengan swarms. Copy this. Paste. Change the seed on it. And we're also going to add it to the Rasengan background here. Change the seed in that. I don't think I made any other changes to it besides that. So that's looking decent. Okay. Now we go back to Rasengan A. And we're gonna go to our media. We're gonna drag in Rasengan B. Let's put it around here-ish. We're gonna transform some properties here. Opacity and scale. So let's bring the scale down. And let's actually place this above the arms. Let's drop that opacity down to 0. This forward. Raise the opacity to 100. And then by the time we reach about here-ish, just bring that. That's pretty good. Let's see. We'll do a RAM preview. You know what? Let's do a RAM preview. Let's see if we can do it for the whole thing. Good enough. So there you have it. Decent looking Rasengan effect. And of course, you know, feel free to dial up the speed or the particles to change it up however you like. The most important thing is to, you know, learn some of the concepts of how these particles are being used to incorporate them into your own projects. There's so much you can do with the particle simulator. I use it a ton. I've used it for even like photo collages. I'll use it a ton to make like little drop down effects. I love it. It makes me sad that this hasn't really been updated in any significant way, if at all, since Hitfilm Pro 3, as far as I know. So it'd be great if they could add some more to it. Alright guys, sorry if this was a little meandering. This is a little hard for me to do, but it did work in the end, so hopefully if y'all found this useful at all, you could drop me a like or a subscribe. Have a good day.